Hi class, so welcome, and today's lecture will be short only because we are covering only a single concept, which is writing to and reading from files in Python, right? A very easy topic since you have done this in C already, so it should not be a challenge for you. But of course today I will send you another tutorial that will be dealing with files, right? Actually, till we don't cover files in Python, the utility of the assignments and tutorials gets less only. When you do file operations, you actually cover many things together. Fine. So now let us come back to this. In the file, you just click on open folder. Oh, sorry, open folder. And in the open folder, today we are on the 31st August, right? So let us open lecture 11, which is 31st August 2021. Right. So there are some file names which are already there, right? And we begin with reading the file, right? How do we read a file in Python, right? So I will just show you there are because multiple methods, right? In fact, there can be methods which are beyond the scope which I have taught you, but those will be also correct. Python keeps on updating the method so that it makes it more easier for the programmers to have file operations, right? So reading a file is very easy in Python, just like you remember in C, right? In C you had the file pointer and then you used to do f open, right? F open is file open. Here we have f is equal to open f double o dot text and then followed by a r, right? That specifies the mode. I'm keeping here exit so that because there are multiple methods and I don't want to confuse you all, right? So let me just come to this iScribe and connect. Okay, so whenever you are opening a file in Python, let me just write CS384 file handling. So let's say I'm writing here file handle is equal to, I write open. Let me change the pen color. We typically give the file name here, and then the second parameter is actually the mode, in which mode you are opening the file. It can be a read mode, it can be a write mode, it can be a append mode. There are of course other methods also, right? So here is our file name which we wish to open or make changes to it, and this is the mode, whether you want to write to the file, you want to read from the file, whatever you want to do, right? So now what happens, see what happens here. I'm doing open and f00.text, this is my file name. Computer science guys keep foo.text just to show that okay, this is just like an ordinary file and can be anything, and I'm opening it in the read mode, right? And then I'm doing print f.read. So remember, by default guys, whenever you are writing a file name, it will by default search for the directory in which this file is saved, right? So let me open this, like right click on the file and do reveal in file explorer. Here you will see that I have this Dropbox 384 and lecture 11. So this file is located here, right? So by default, it will search for a file in this path only, unless you specify the explicit path, right? There are two options. You can specify the absolute path. This is the relative path. Relative path means in the folder where 0.read is there, this file will be searched in the same directory. And then we are doing f.read, right? So whenever you are opening a file, just assume like this is a file handle. File handle means, say this file will be opened in the memory, right? It will open in the RAM as of now. So you need that address to that location where it has opened. So that location is basically stored in f, right? It's mainly known as the handle. And now when you do f.read, it will read the entire contents of the file, right? So let us first see ourselves what is the content of f00.text. I can just click on the VS Code, this, So I'm just keeping Monday, Tuesday, and I'm keeping the third line of the file as name of the file is f00.txt. Fine. Now let us come to this part and let me run the code. Okay. One thing I missed is to clear the screen. Import os.system cls. Let me just copy this line so that I can repeat it. So now you can see in the output window, you are getting Monday, Tuesday, and name of the file is foo.txt. Now, if I change the content of the file, right? Let me now change the content of the file. So I can just write India is my country. So now you can see you have only 3 lines here. Now when I execute the code, I will have the line India is my country also. See, once this program has executed, fine, the moment it read the file, any changes made after that will not be reflected. Fine. So you have to rerun the code again. So I'm running the code again. Now you can see I have Monday, Tuesday, name of the file, and India is my country. So whatever will be the contents of the file, that will be printed verbatim. Verbatim means as it is, right? It does not think about what is in the file, what is not to be printed, nothing. By default, read will print everything into the file. Fine. So I hope this is very simple. You just do an open command, specify the file name, specify the mode, and then keep on reading the file. Now let us see the another method of doing this. Right. So let me comment this out, and then I will just place an exit clause here. So now what I'm doing, I'm again opening the file, and I'm actually specifying a number in the function, right? You can see f.read means file.read is a function, and in the previous case I did not specify any number here, right? You can see I did not specify anything here. That means I have to read the whole file. That means I have to read the whole file together. But now since I'm specifying the number here, this specifies the number of characters, not words, not lines, only characters, because that is the smallest unit that you can get in a file, right? A file is composed of characters. Fine. Now let me go to the file again. f00.txt. So when you are reading 5 characters, we start from the start and we will be reading MONDA. So Monda will be there on the output. Let us run the code and check again. So you can see MONDA, right? So if I make this only one character, right? So it will read the first character from the file. It will read the first character, which is M. Let us run the code. So you can see M is being read, right? You can actually specify this number to be a huge number also, right? So I'm specifying 10,000. I know there are not 10,000 characters in the file. So towards the end of the file, once it reaches the end of the file, it will actually stop. See, Monday, Tuesday, it reached to the end of the file. India is my country, right? So you can see here f00.txt, India is my country. So at this point, we have a hidden thing which is known as EOF, which is known as end of file. We cannot see it, we humans cannot see it, but when we save a file on the computer automatically stores the end of the file as a hidden character, right? So I think that's easy, right? Reading and writing file is easy. Again, we have just seen how to read, right? Let me now just keep 5 characters here. So this is also over. You can interrupt me in between with your doubts and queries, and you can also pop up in the chat window also, right? But this all are very simple concepts actually, right? Now if you want to read one line at a time, how do you do that, right? Let us come back again here. Let me put it exit. Oh, caps lock. Right, we have open f00.txt, and then we are doing, see, there is another inbuilt function which is known as read line. Right, at this point you are only reading, you were using the read function. So what does read function do? Read function just reads characters by characters. And what does read line do? As the name specifies, it will read line by line. So it reads the entire line together. So let me just bring this text here. So this is the entire line it is reading, line number 1, then it will read the entire line 2, then it will read the entire line 3, then it will read the entire line 4, right? So that is how it works. So let us see the output here. Since we are doing read line, it will only read one line by default, right? So you can see it is reading one line and printing on the screen, right? And a variant to it is like this. If you want to read two lines of a file, you just specify the function twice, right? Quite easy. So Python makes, as you can see, things very intuitive and very easy, right? I can just right click, run the code. You can see Monday and Tuesday. Now you may ask that, okay, there is some blank space which is inserted in between, right? Because when we are reading a line using the read line function, by default, it will automatically insert a new line, new line character at the end. So let me just try the step function. So when you try the strip function, it will automatically erase those blanks. I think this should work about around. Let me just run the code. See, you can now see Monday and Tuesday. So whenever you are doing file operations, right, using the strip function actually helps a lot to remove the unnecessary spaces which are at the end or at the beginning, right? But now you may see that if you want to read 100 lines, writing this code print f.readline 100 times makes no sense, right? Of course, you can use a range function, right? You can use a range function that while read line is getting you some output, you keep on printing. You can use a for loop also, but still not a good method, right? So what can be a good method here? So we will just show a function which is known as read lines, right? You can see there is a plural s here. There was only a read line here. See, this was only read line without the apostrophe s, and this is read lines, the plural version. So in the read lines, you can see the same file. Now I'm specifying how many lines I want to read. I can specify here 2, 3, 400, 500, 1000, whatever I wish to. Right? Let me run the code. Right? So now you can see it has read. Okay, it should have read 3 lines. I don't know why it did not read. Okay. This I will get back to you, class. This should have been the number of lines read, right? Because if you just see the help of read lines, see, returns all lines in a file as a list where each line is an item in the list object, right? So basically, see, you can see, for example, in this case, okay, I will get back here. Okay, deadlines. Okay, let me just keep 33. Maybe it is the number of bytes also. Then I may be wrong. Okay, okay. Read lines and then you specify the number of bytes. Sorry, it was my mistake. I'm wrong. This is the number of bytes that you need to return. So for every line, it will be returning these many bytes. Right? So for example, it says, do not return the next line if the total number of bytes returned are more than 33. Right? So okay, so read lines takes one parameter and the parameter is optional, of course. If the number of bytes returned exceed the hint number, no more lines will be returned. Default value is -1, which means all lines will be returned, right? So for example, what is the meaning of that? For example, if I say read lines 5, right? So it will read the first line, okay? Then for the next line, it will check whether it is having more than 5 characters. If it is having more than 5 characters, it will not return. It will not return that line. It will stop. Right? So that is how read lines work. So if you just don't specify anything, by default, it means it will return all the lines. But one thing that you need to observe is that it returns as a list. Right? Returns as a list means you can see we have Monday, Tuesday, name of the file, and India is my country. For every line that it read, it actually made it into a list. Right? You can see this is a list, Monday, Tuesday, name of the file. Right? Now you may ask, sir, this slash n is coming. This is because in the slash n, it is actually taking a new line, right? For example, when I'm going to a new line, there is a hidden slash n here, right? So when you when you read the file using read lines, this slash n is actually displayed in a verbatim fashion, right? Now, what is the advantage of having this in this particular fashion? So for example, let me just show you, right? So you can have something, all lines is equal to f dot read lines. Fine. Now we know that all lines is a list, right? We can just type all lines. So let us see the type of this. You already know it's a list. Why? We have a square parenthesis, and now you can iterate over this list. So I can write for x in all lines, and I can just print line read is, and then we can just print x dot. I'm using the strip function. Why? Because I don't want this slash n to appear. All right. Now let us see the code here. Okay, print for x in online. It should have come. What will happen if we just go to the file line entered by spaces? Okay, so Subhadeep, let me just come to your query. Let me just check why this did not work out. For x in onlines and print. Okay, let me remove this first. Okay, so this is how it appears. You can see for x in all lines, right? I'm first printing all lines, right? So if you can see this all lines, let me, okay, this is the type. So I'm reading all lines from the file, and for every line that it is there in this list, I'm printing them one by one. See, print line read is just this. What will happen if we just go to file line by enter and spaces? Okay, I will just clear your doubt, Subhadev. You are saying that, okay, I just need to keep blank lines, right? Will the spaces be counted? Okay, let me just come to your doubt. SSH, and let me keep the exit clause also here, and let me keep this thing. Phi is here. Let us try it, right? Let me just keep a backup here on the notepad, and let us go character by character. A B, A B C, A B C D E. Let us keep one space here, two space here, and then we can have A B C D E R, right? And we can have 1 2 3 4. Let us keep this as foo.text, and let us try to analyze how the read lines output actually comes. Fine. So we have read lines as 5 characters. Let us run the code. So you can see it returned only those characters. Okay, it actually stopped. Fine. So it displayed A, B, A, B, C. Fine. A, B, C, D, E. So this was 5 characters. So actually it is counting the slash n also. Okay, let me just keep A, B, C, D also should come here, I think. Let us run the code. Okay, A, B, C, D is not coming. Then I need to check out this. I still feel it's an issue with the compiler. ABC should have appeared. Will the space will be counted? Space, space. Let us see. 1, 2, 3. I'm having 3 spaces here. Yeah, space is counted. So Subhadeep, space is counted. You can see 1, 2, 3 spaces are counted. Yeah. But still, I think ABCD should have been there in the output, but I will have to check this out. Subhadeep, excellent doubt, but I will get to you with this doubt clearing. Fine, I will shortly make it to this. Excellent doubt. So, okay, now this also goes over. This we actually saw in the previous case only. So you are reading a file, and from the file handle, you are reading. You can just see the output first. Okay. Let me keep the original content here. So now how to read a file using a for loop. Fine. You just open the file and then you just iterate over the file handle. Right. So let us see the output here. So you can see Monday, Tuesday, name of the file, India is my country. If you don't want to have the enters, you can just do a strip and then print. You can see Monday, Tuesday, name of the file. This. So by default, when you read the file, a new line is actually taken in the output, right? So you will get blanks in the output. So always better to use the step function when actually working with files. Fine. So class, okay, just two more codes and then we take a break. Okay, one thing here is that whenever you open a file, it is always advisable to close the file also, right? Whenever you're opening a file, you are reading all the lines and then you have a practice to close the file, right? So it ensures that the whatever changes you are made to the file are actually returned to the file, right? So class, let's have a break for I think we can, how we can have a break for 4 minutes and we return at 12:28. Fine. Doubts are welcome and others can have a break. Yeah, class. So one more very efficient method in computers in Python for handling the file is this fashion. See, when you open the file and do some processing on the file and then you close the file, right? So you basically have to do three things. So let us come back to the drawing board. So we have file open, right? You first open the file and then you do our operations. So whatever you can just write manipulation, and then finally we have file close. Right, if you remember your C operations, you may be remembering the f close function in C, right? F open was to open the file and then you have a f close fp, right? File pointer you used to have. Same thing is to be done in Python also, although Python many a times I have seen automatically closes the file when the program exits, right? But there is another more efficient manner in which you can actually do file operations, right? Which is called as a with clause, right? So let me just change the pen color. So that is known as the with clause, right? And it's a very beautiful thing, you know. Then here you need not think about closing the file, it is automatically done. Right? So just see this small program. We have with open f.text r as f. So what happens, you can see this particular statement where you open the file, exactly I'm writing the same thing. I'm writing this open loop here. You can see I'm selecting this, automatically it selected the same text here also. As f means when I was opening this file, I was giving the handle f to handle. Again, I'm doing f. I'm just keeping a new keyword which is known as with. Now I will tell you what happens with actually. Right. So let me just comment this out. So what does this mean is that basically just ignore the keyword with for now. You will say that, okay, I'm opening a file in the file handle as f, and then I'm reading the lines, right? So I'm reading all the lines, right? F dot read lines means I'm reading all the lines. And then for each line that I'm reading, I'm displaying the file. So let me just run the code. So you can see the Monday, Tuesday, name of the file, India is my country, is displayed correctly. That we also know it will be displayed correctly. And if you don't want the blank lines, just insert a strip. Fine. Now what happens with clause is that, see, you can now see 44, 45, 46, 47. This with loop basically comprises still line number 47. The advantage of this with clause is that once you open the file using with, when the loop is over, right, at line number 48, the loop is over. It will automatically close the file. So you need not explicitly close the file just like you did in the previous case. See, you wrote a f dot close here, right? So basically, if you can read this logically, with opening the file foo.text in the read mode and assigning it to a handle f, read all the lines, right? And for each line, you display the line, right? So with clause actually says that, all these operations are valid with the file being opened. And when this operation is no longer existing, basically all the files are read, I will automatically close the file. So most of the online implementations in Python and on Stack Overflow, etc., you actually will get this kind of clause with open foo.text as f, fine, and then you are doing read lines and all these things, fine. So very important method, but if you can see, it is just a shorthand. This entire thing with open is written in this particular clause, and the rest of the things inside remain the same as it is, right? So this was all about reading the file. Now we come across writing the file. Exactly the same thing, very easy. Just now you have to use the same open function, but instead of the read mode, now you replace it with W, which is the write mode. Let us go to the previous program. You can see here, we were using the read mode here, R, and now instead of R, we have the write mode. So there are numerous modes. There are more than 9 modes, right? Read, write, write plus, read plus, but mostly we use read, write, and append. Append we will see later in the class. Now, how do you open this? So you have a file handle, and I'm opening this file. So advantage of W mode is that, let me come to the drawing board. So for example, if you say file handle is equal to open, and let's say your file is readme.txt in the write mode. You can also specify single quotes. So what does write mode do is that if this file exists, right, blank it and open. So let's say the readme file already contains 10 lines of some help text, fine. So if the readme file, if the readme was there, the write mode will actually blank the entire file, and then it will start writing the fresh contents what you are writing. If the readme file does not exist, fine, let me change the pen color. If does not exist, create a blank one, right? If does not exist, then you need to create a blank one, fine. So what happens here, you can just see I have a sample log, right? I have a sample log.txt. Let me just, okay, let me just create this file. Okay, I will just show you. You can see on the left hand side, there is no sample log.txt, right? There is no sample log.txt in here. There is sample log too. Let me just, okay, delete it just to avoid the confusion. So there is no sample log files here. So the moment I run this code, right, I just open the file and using the file handle dot write function. Previous function we were using read function. Once again, we were using the read function to read from the file. Now we are using the write function. Right? And I'm just writing different text here in the file. And finally, I am closing the file. Again, we can use with open, but okay, we will just see. Right? So you can see the program executed correctly. Now, since everything was written to the file, let us see if the file is created. So now you can see on the left hand side, sample underscore log.txt is created. And this you can say this, hello everyone, it is my first attempt to write a file in Python, blah, blah, blah. And now you can see there is only one line which has appeared in the output, right? Only one line. Why? Because when we physically write on a new line, it is for humans that we are writing on a new line. But for computers, it is just a long string one after the other. You can see hello everyone is an exclamation, and then it is my first attempt. Hello everyone exclamation, see, it did not even give a space. Computers do not understand grammar or English or anything like this. Fine. Now if you want to physically insert a new line, so you can use it in this fashion. Right? So you can explicitly write /n and then you will actually get. So let me just run the code. Right? The code is ran. Now you can see hello everyone and there is a new line here. If you want to insert multiple spaces, you can insert multiple spaces. If you want to insert a tab here, so you use the /t, right? Run the code. You can see the tab is inserted here. Multiple spaces are inserted here, right? So writing again is a very, very simple thing in Python, right? You just use the open mode, open in the right fashion, and then use the write function. So now you can see that for writing the 4 strings to the file, I invoked the write function 4 times, right? Another shorthand for this is you can actually use like this. I am opening a file which is sample underscore log2. Here you can see what I'm doing. I'm having the same 4 strings, but I am enclosing it within a list. You can see write lines is a function, and this is a list here, right? Write parenthesis, right? And all the strings are separated by a comma. So you can see this is my first thing that I will write to the file. Then this is my second thing that I will write to the files. This is my third thing that I will write to the file. And this is the fourth thing that I will write to the file. Fine. So write lines can actually help you write multiple strings to the file in the form of a list. So now let us see how does this look like. I ran the code. What was my file? Sample underscore log2. So let us see sample underscore log2. You can see exactly the same text has been written, but I just use a one single function here to write everything into the file. Fine. Okay, so guys, there is a new thing which is known as CSV, right? You must have worked across CSV file, which is known as comma separated values, right? So let me just write it out in a comment form. CSV is equal to comma separated values, right? Comma separated values. So what does it mean? So I have a file here, country.csv. Let me just see the file here. Fine. Now you can see I have, okay, let me first open this in an Excel file so that you feel a bit familiar with it. You can see I just got this list from online. Okay. So Albania has Tirana as its capital, then Austria has Vienna as its capital, right? Barbados has Bridgetown as its capital. So you can see this is, although this file opens in Excel, basically it's a CSV file, right? You can see in the extension here country.csv. And what does CSV means? So let me now open this file here in our VS Code, right? So you can see Afghanistan, comma, Kabul is there. Albania, comma, Tirana is there. Algeria, comma, Algiers is there. So what happens here logically, the comma, you can feel the comma is like a separator, right? Hence the extension is CSV, comma, separated values, right? So you are using comma to separate the values. So what happens here? This is one value. After comma, whatever appears, this is second value. I have, of course, 2 column only. I can have any number of columns, right? So a valid CSV can be like this, right? So let me just save this here as info.csv. So what I can do is like, let's say India, Delhi, Asia. Fine. Then we can have Australia, Canberra, and then I can have the Australia is on itself, the country, or basically the continent is Australia. So you can see how I'm using comma to separate the values logically, right? All the Python, machine learning, and many data sets, basically they use this only. They do not specify Excel files because they are binary format. We will see what is a binary format, right? So what happens in a CSV file is that all the entities are separated by a comma, right? So now let me just run this code for you. Okay, sorry guys, I forgot one code which was append, right? Append is just nothing. Instead of write mode, we are using a mode. Now I will show you what happens here. Just see this file foo.txt, right? So in the foo.txt you have 4 lines: Monday, Tuesday, name of the file, and India is my country. Now the moment I will have an append function here, so this will have, let me just do a slash n so that it appears differently from others, right? I will open the foo.txt in an append mode, and then I will just write this content. So what does append do? Append will not blank a file. Append will open the file and then add to the contents. Just like the English word append, append means to add something, right? Just keep an eye on this file, foo.txt. It has only 4 lines now. Once I run this append code, you will see new lines appearing here. Let me run the code. So the code is ran successfully. Now you can see I gave 2 slash n, then I gave dash 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 dash, and now the file has more content, right? So append mode is again very useful at times. It comes to, when you want to have existing record to be updated or something like this. So we use the append mode. Fine. Now back to our CSV example, a very fine example here, right? So we have our countries and their capitals. So what happens here? I'm using again the with clause. As I said, with is very widely used. With open country.csv in the read mode. So I'm opening this file into a read mode. If you open a file in read mode, then you cannot write to the file, right? You can only read the file. But when you're writing to a file, right, there is a mode called read write. So you can read also and write also at the same time. So now I'm having a list here. I'm initializing a blank list results, right? So now what happens when you open the file in the file handle, right? For each line that you are reading in the file, right? So you are reading the file line by line. So what will happen in the first line? This will be read. Okay, let me just erase this special character. So what happens here in the first line, country and capital city will be read together, right? Now see what I'm doing. What I'm saying, line dot split in comma, right? I'm saying I have to use I specify the comma as the splitting specifier. So what will happen? I will have two lists. One list will have a first, it will split into country and capital city. We will just see the output once and then you will get the feel of this. You can see here, let me just clear the screen. Once again, run the code. You can see it read entire file and made it into a list here. See, country, capital city, Afghanistan, Kabul, Albania, Tirana, Algeria, Algiers. Right now, how did this happen? Because if you can see here, okay, let me just add line here, print line read is, and let me keep the line here. And I can just have import OS and os.system as CLS. Right? Now just see this. So now you can see in this particular output, the line read is country, comma, capital city. So it read the entire line, right? So basically this was the output here. And now what I do, words is equal to line dot split. Fine. So what I'm doing, I'm doing a line dot split at comma. So if I do split at comma, what will happen? Country will be in one list element and capital city will be another list element. So you can see that is exactly what is happening. Country is here and capital city is here. Fine. So this happens and then I'm doing print words. So basically words is nothing but a list. So this is the word, right? This entire list is basically a word. If you want to see, we can also do type of words. Right, you can see this is a list here. Fine. And then what I'm doing, I'm just printing the results out here. So you can see with every line which is being read, you basically get the country name and the name of the capital. Right. So this is how you basically read a CSV file. Python does have a library for basically working with CSV, but that we will see in the later classes. Right now, we will just manipulate a CSV file using very bare minimum and basic methods. The advantage here is that you will actually learn the internals of how things actually work. Fine. So class, we can have a small break for 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Okay, it's 12:48. So let us return at 12:52, or else let me just see 4, 5, 6. Okay, our class, I think let us take for the, okay. Then let's take a break for 5 minutes. Okay, we will return at 12:53. Hey guys, so almost we took the whole hour. I thought the lectures today will be short. Anyways, but I hope this was interesting also working with files, right? So now there is, say, whatever files, whether it is CSV or when you open this foo.txt, right? These are actually called as ASCII files. ASCII file means you have already seen this ASCII table. 0 to 255. So basically all the contents will be actually ASCII only, right? All these are ASCII characters from 0 to 255. The other type of files basically that you deal with is known as binary files. Now what are binary files? Anything which is not ASCII is binary. So all your MP3 files, MP4 files, zip files, PPT, Excel, images, right? Everything is a binary file. A majority of the operations that we do on the files basically are of the from binary files. Our tutorials and assignment will be based on ASCII only, but just for knowledge purposes, you should know how to deal with binary files, right? So you can see I have an image 308.jpg, right? This is a QR code image basically, right? So what happens in this particular case is, so this is not a text file. Now how do I know it's not a text file? Because let me just come this and open this in a notepad. Open with notepad. So you can see this is some gibberish text that is appearing, right? This is a gibberish text. So now let us see what happens when you open, how to open a binary file here. So you're doing F open and you are having this image, and this, see the mode here. R is for read mode and B is for binary mode. Fine. So let us simply first read the file into a read mode, just like a text file, and see the output. We are just reading the whole file and printing the contents and closing it, right? So you can see there is some error here, Unicode decode error. Char map codec cannot decode byte 0 it in position this. So it is saying that it is not able to decode it. Now since it was a binary file, right? It was a binary file and we were trying to read it as a normal file. So it gave the error. Now I'm adding B here. You can see there will be a string of hex values. Let me just run the code here. So you can see now this file is, let me just do a CLS and again run the code. So now you can see this PNG and you can see slash X. Basically when you have a slash X, that means it's a hexa character. So you can see a series of hex characters, X00, X00. So this is basically a binary format. You can actually guess it from here that it's a binary file, right? So this is just for the knowledge per se, just to show you that if you are reading a binary file and you want to make changes to a binary code, then you need to use a binary format. Similarly, how do you write in a binary format? You just open a binary file in the WB mode. WB means write and B means binary, right? So this byte array, basically it's an inbuilt function in Python that basically gives us the hexa equivalent of, basically it gives a long string of hex. So see in the list you have 1 2 3 4 5 numbers, right? Let me just show you the code here. So see, these 5 numbers basically are now made into a byte array of this much. So what happens here? The hex equivalent, see the equivalent hex equivalent of 5 is 5. Hex equivalent of 10. Okay, then let me just see, it is okay. This is a byte array, not necessarily what I was saying. I just guessed it because 15 basically has a hex of F, right? Then 20 has a hex of 14 and 25 has a hex of 19, right? But nevertheless, now if you see that I am opening this binary file in a write mode, right? So now if I try to open this file, see this file is created, binary file. Again, this content is a gibberish content for me. That means it's a binary content for me, right? So this was just about more of an introduction, because you should know that, okay, you can read and write in as ASCII as well as binary formats, right? So class, it's 12:58. I think we are done for today's class. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me, or else we can quit the session.